I want you to pause for a moment, very slowly, not to read, but to listen, because God's great things never come loudly. They don't knock with applause. They don't appear as a gift wrapped in golden silk. According to the teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda, God's grace often comes disguised in the form of change, sometimes loss, sometimes heartbreak, sometimes an unnameable emptiness. Earthly people often pray to God, "Grant me success, grant me peace, grant me light." But God, as enlightened beings have directly perceived, doesn't give you what you ask for, but gives you what awakens you. Paramahansa Yogananda once emphasized that all suffering is a misunderstood message from God. I realized a profound truth. Just before God gives you a great leap of consciousness, He always sends signs. These signs are not meant to punish you. They are meant to empty you, because a vessel that is already full cannot take in any more light. You may be reading these lines during a very strange phase. You are no longer the old person, but you haven't yet reached the new person. You feel like you're standing between two worlds. If that's the case, I want you to know one important thing. This is not getting lost. This is a threshold. Paramahansa Yogananda calls this state, this sacred space, where the soul is separated from its old identities in preparation for a deeper union with God. The first signature. Your life begins to break down what once made you feel secure. There is a truth that Paramahansa Yogananda clearly states, but very few people truly understand. God doesn't destroy your life. He destroys the boundaries you mistakenly believe to be life. The first and most unsettling sign is the old structures in your life begin to crumble. This could be a relationship you once thought was destined, a job that once gave you a sense of stability, a belief, an ideal, an image of yourself. And what confuses you isn't the loss. Rather, you no longer feel you belong to those things, even though they were once very important. According to Yogananda, this is an expression of the law of consciousness evolution. When the soul has grown larger than the frame must break. Many people call this stage the dark night of the soul. But Yogananda doesn't call it a dark night. He calls it a hidden dawn, because the old doesn't leave to punish you. It leaves because it no longer serves your evolution. Have you noticed something very subtle? In those losses, the pain is still there, but the clinging is less than before. That's an important sign. If this were just karmic suffering, you would beg to return to the past, feel bitterness and resentment, try every way to cling on. But if this is the suffering of grace, you will feel pain, but not want to turn back. Be sad, but not resist. Feel loss, but feel something opening up inside. Paramahansa Yogananda teaches, when God wants to give you His kingdom, He will first take away the little chair you are sitting on. That little chair could be the ego, control, a false sense of security. And when you are forced to stand up, you realize you were born to stand in the light, not to sit in your comfort zone. If you are experiencing this breaking down, I want you to remember one thing. Nothing is against you. Everything is working for your awakening. Second sign, you begin to feel the presence of God in silence. You no longer seek God with your thoughts. You begin to feel Him, not with exhilarating emotions, not with brilliant visions, but with a profound silence, so silent that at first you don't even realize it's anything special. Paramahansa Yogananda taught, God is not hidden. He is simply quieter than the mind. 1. Silence is no longer emptiness. It becomes fullness. Previously, when you were silent, you might have felt bored, lonely, anxious. But then, one day, silence changes its nature. You sit still, without particular thoughts, without desires, and you realize there is a presence there. No form, no name, no words, just a feeling, enveloped, witnessed. loved without reason. Yogananda calls this unintermediate presence, where the soul begins to realize God is not outside, not above, but breathing in sync with your own breath. You no longer pray with words. Your existence becomes prayer. 2. You are no longer afraid to be alone with yourself. Another very clear sign. You begin to love silence, not because you are avoiding the world, but because in silence, you no longer feel deprived. Paramahansa Yogananda said, "Only when the mind is silent does the soul begin to remember who it is." You don't need constant social media, background noise, unconscious busyness, not because you reject life, but because you have tasted a level of happiness that is independent. This is an extremely important sign. God is teaching you that happiness does not come from objects, but from union, and only those who are about to enter a great expansion of consciousness are brought into this school of silence. 3. Wordless moments become sacred. You can encounter the presence of God in a very gentle breath, in a moment of looking at the sky, in a second of thoughtlessness, in your heart, without any specific emotion. Yogananda emphasized that God speaks the language of vibrations, not the language of words. When you begin to feel Him in stillness, it means your frequency has changed. The third signature. Worldly desires gradually lose their appeal. Things that once captivated you no longer stir your heart as they once did. Please understand correctly. This is not weariness of life, nor is it a rejection of the world. According to Paramahansa Yogananda, this is a sign of a shift in the center of pleasure from the senses to the soul. 1. Desire doesn't disappear, it becomes more refined. You still live, you still work, you still love, but inwardly, something is very different. You are no longer driven by desire. You no longer identify yourself with achievement. You no longer believe that having is synonymous with being happy. Yogananda clearly states, desire is not the enemy. Confusion is the enemy. When God is about to give you something great, He withdraws energy from small desires, focusing the light on a single aspiration, the aspiration to unite with the truth. 2. You begin to see impermanence more clearly than ever before. Achievements, praise, status, even relationships. It's not that they are bad. It's that you see through them. You see, they come and go. They don't touch the core. They are no longer deep enough. And this is the important thing. You don't despise the world. You're simply no longer mesmerized by it. Yogananda calls this state Vairagya, natural detachment. No coercion, no asceticism, just maturity of consciousness. 3. A very strange longing arises in the heart. When worldly desires diminish, another feeling begins to emerge. Longing for God, not intense, not mournful, but deep, quiet, and enduring. You may not be able to name it, but you know very well. Nothing in this world can fill that void. Yogananda said, when all other desires subside, the soul begins to long for its homeland. And this longing is the surest sign that God is preparing to give you a non-worldly gift, not another thing to possess, but a transformation in being. The fourth sign, subtle challenges of faith, patience, and trust. When God is about to give you great things, He doesn't ask you how much you know. He asks you how much you are willing to let go of. And so, the fourth sign doesn't come as a major event. It comes quietly, subtly, and directly touches the three deepest pillars of spiritual life: faith, patience, trust. 1. When you do right, but the results haven't come yet. There is a very special stage on the path to awakening when you live more mindfully, you pray more deeply, you practice more regularly, but life still hasn't opened up. There are no clear signs. There is no immediate reward. There is no external validation. Paramahansa Yogananda calls this the test of pure faith. He said, "True faith needs no proof, for it is the light that produces the proof." God is asking you a wordless question. Will you continue walking even when you cannot see the path? If you continue, not because you expect to receive, but because you cannot live differently, that is when your faith has matured. 2. Patience is no longer waiting, but standing still in the light. Previously, patience for you might have been enduring, waiting for things to pass. But in this stage, patience is refined. You no longer ask, "When will that come?" You begin to ask, "What is there left I haven't let go of?" Paramahansa Yogananda taught, God's delay is never a refusal, it is preparation. 3. Entrustment is no longer just words. It is a state of being. Entrustment is not giving up. Entrustment is believing so deeply that you no longer resist the flow. At this fourth sign, you will realize personal plans no longer provide a sense of certainty. You no longer want to control every outcome. You begin to ask God more than you ask your mind. Yogananda said, "When you place your will under God's will, you do not lose your freedom, you find it again." Entrustment at this point is no longer, "I give to Him," but rather, "I no longer keep anything for myself." Fifth sign, you are driven into solitude, but no longer afraid of solitude. You are being led into solitude, not because you are abandoned, but because your soul needs space to open its final door. 1. A natural withdrawal from the crowd. You may notice, you no longer want to explain yourself to others. You share less, but live more deeply. Superficial conversations tire you out. There is no resentment. There is no arrogance. It's just that your energy no longer resonates with the surface. Paramahansa Yogananda once said, God speaks most clearly when the world is silent, and so He leads you away from the noise. 2. Solitude is no longer a lack, but a complete presence. Something very sacred happens during this stage. You no longer feel lonely, even when alone. You can sit in silence for a long time. Be alone without feeling empty. Feel the invisible companionship. This is an extremely important sign, because only when the soul no longer seeks external compensation can God fully reveal Himself within. Yogananda taught, solitary is a sacred chamber, if you enter it with an open heart. 3. You are being prepared for a deeper unity. In solitude, you no longer play a role. No more social identity. No more personal story. Only awareness, presence, light. And it is in this state that the greatest thing happens. You begin to live as a conduit, not a seeker. The greatest gift God gives. It's not what you receive, it's what you become. There's a very quiet, very deep moment when your soul stops asking, what will God give me? And begins to ask, who am I being called to become? 1. God doesn't give rewards. He gives transformation. The world operates on exchange. Do more, receive more. Try harder, achieve. Deserve, receive. But God doesn't trade. He transforms. When you say, I want light, God doesn't bring light as an object. He dissolves the darkness within you. And when the darkness disappears, the light is present on its own. Yogananda said, you don't attain God. You only lose what is not Him. 2. You no longer live to find meaning. You become meaning. At this stage, there is a very profound shift. You no longer ask, what is this life for? You no longer seek purpose outside yourself, because your presence itself has purpose. Paramahansa Yogananda calls this the state of living from the soul, not from the ego. You realize your silent presence has healing power. Your words carry energy, not just information. Your silence also has the power to teach others, not because you are trying to help anyone, but because you have become a space where God can touch the world. 3. You no longer need validation. You know it. A very clear sign of this gift is you no longer need anyone to confirm your path, not out of pride, but because you have touched the unquestionable. Yogananda said, "Direct experience is the only proof in spirituality." You don't argue, you don't persuade, you don't defend. You know, in the way that someone who has tasted water doesn't need anyone to prove that water is wet. And from this knowing, a very beautiful quality emerges. Natural humility, because you understand that there is no I to achieve, there is no you to give. Only God is knowing Himself through you. 4. Become, then let God act through you. When the great thing has been given, there is the final letting go. You no longer feel like you are the one doing the work. Life goes on. The work is still done. The words are still spoken. But deep inside, you know, not I, but He. This is the pinnacle of surrender that Yogananda calls the union of personal will and divine will. You no longer ask God to change your life. You allow God to live His life through you. And that is the greatest gift that can be given to a human being. Namaste.